Hello, welcome to Talk a Good Game. It's just finished. West Ham United 0, Chelsea 2. We're here with our sponsors, Royal London Watches, to discuss the 90 minutes. And sorry, we scored one. It was West Ham 1, Chelsea 2. Tom, was it just a case of for West Ham, no Antonio, no party?
Yeah, I think we were under no illusions of how good Chelsea were going to be coming into this game. You know, they've been fantastic all season long, and you just saw from that 90 minutes how resolute and how well they defended. And unfortunately for us, you know, we had one plan, which was obviously to stick it into Carroll, and he didn't really get much service, and we just lacked a lot of pace up front. And it was, you know, the kind of game that we could have used Antonio and could have done with him. But no, I think it was just an outstanding performance by Chelsea this evening.
Well, let's get into the 90 minutes action. Jason, were you quite impressed with the first 25 minutes of play there? Were you happy enough with what you were seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at points, we really had them on the ropes. They were reeling. They just couldn't seem to settle into the game. And I really thought we really missed the trick, not capitalising on the chances. But, you know, Chelsea just showed us how ruthless they can be and how ruthless they have been this season by taking those clear-cut chances that we clearly squandered in those first 25 minutes.
Did we have them on the ropes though, Jason, or would you maybe say that was Chelsea's game plan, sort of sit back and just soak up the pressure West Ham will give us, because they will make a mistake and we will counter-attack them and we will finish them? Do you think that was maybe the Antonio Conte's game plan?
Potentially. I mean, you can't rule it out. He's probably, I mean, how thorough that man is with his tactics, I'm sure he's probably taken that into account. But there were at times they did look like they were flapping. I mean, you could see David Luiz always seems to have a mistake in him. Well, obviously hasn't been recently, but we've seen in the past. And yeah, I just feel like we just didn't really capitalise when we had our golden chances, and Chelsea then turned the screw.
What about yourself, Tom? Were you happy with the first 25 minutes, or do you think maybe Chelsea were sort of in second gear, just waiting?
They were just quite happy just to sit back. You know, they've had that confidence all season long with the way that they've played, and almost said to West Ham, you know, put the pressure on us, come at us. You know, they've defended well like that all season long, and they invited the pressure onto us, and they dealt with it how they've dealt with it all season long. They were absolutely fantastic. And I think that at no point, even though we had the fair line of possession in that first half, in that first 25 minutes, I don't think at one point Chelsea really even broke a sweat. You know, that was just regular defending, regular resolute defending that they've done all season long. You know, Cahill, Moses, Azpilicueta, Alonso, that whole back three, back five, whatever you want to call it, is just so tight-knit. They just work for each other and they're so hard to break down. So even though it was a good opening 25 minutes, and it was nice to actually see us come out and grab the ball by the horns, so to speak, and have the possession, because obviously sometimes we go into the game and we go down within the first couple of minutes, but it was nice to see that possession. But I don't think it really troubled Chelsea once, to be honest with you, in those first 25 minutes.
Yeah, I have to agree. I was quite impressed as well. But then as the game started to go on, come the 15, 20 minute, I did start to think, is this Chelsea's plan actually, just to let us have the ball? Because sooner or later we will slip up. They will come at us with Chelsea's strength is counter-attacking with pace. And the only way they can do that is if they retreat a little bit. And we were whipping crosses in. And while they weren't on point, they weren't awful. They were decent enough. But Chelsea dealt with Andy Carroll the best I've ever seen anyone deal with Andy Carroll. Whenever he went in the box, there was at least two players around him. Cahill was winning, and someone was nudging Carroll. They dealt with Andy Carroll brilliantly. And Tom, you just touched on their back 3/5. I thought Courtois was absolutely fantastic as well. He knew when to come and he knew when to stay. I've been quite critical of him, actually. When people say he's the best keeper in the league, I think he's got a long way to go till he gets there. But tonight, I thought he was faultless with his crosses and that. But the goal did come, Jason. I think everyone knew Chelsea would score tonight. Even the people that thought West Ham would get something, they all predicted it to be 2-1 or 3-2 or something. They all predicted Chelsea to score. But it's just a shame that you do that 25 minutes, Chelsea aren't troubling you, and then you just chuck it away. We just threw it away.
It's a little of us squandering the chances and Chelsea just being ruthless. I mean, you saw that counter-attack. I think they stringed 3 passes together and it cut through the whole team. It just really goes to show the difference of quality, really, between that top 6 and the rest of the league. We have so much catching up to do on that front, and this definitely has to be addressed in the summer if we're going to have any chance of breaking into the top 6, or even in Europe, or even in the top half of the table, to be honest with you. Now they just ran rings around us, and it really went to show that I don't know if it's a fitness issue or if it's a class issue, really, if I'm being honest with you.
What was our captain doing though, Jason? And for those who haven't seen the goal, we got a free kick outside the box. Lanzini hit it into the wall. Noble had about 5 seconds, which is a long time in Premier League football. You know, he was able to jog over to the ball with his head up the whole time. What's he doing?
I think the only person that can really answer that question is Mark himself. I always find with Noble, he always seems to try and go for the Hollywood pass sometimes. He always wants to try and spray it out somewhere and make it really look good in the highlight reels at times. And, you know, I know he gets unfair criticism and he gets some stick when he doesn't deserve it. But I think if there was any time for him to just sort of just lash it in the box and just cause some havoc and make something happen, that would have been the time. But then he tries to go for a simple side pass and we just get punished for it. But it just goes to show the lack of fitness in the team as well, not tracking back or not even busting a lung to try and get back and stop that Chelsea counter-attack. And I just feel like our players seem to run through treacle at times, just with how slow we seem to be. I mean, you have to look at our back four of Jose Fonte and Winston Reid at times. I mean, I know Fonte's 33, but, you know, we really need to have some sort of outlet, some sort of pace merchant to keep track with these players. But, you know, it just seems it is what it is.
Tom, what's your thoughts on their opening goal?
Just poor from Noble. You know my feelings about the guy. You know, I've said in the last couple of weeks, me and you have talked about it. You know, it's I do love him. He's Mr. West Ham, but I've said for the last month, for the betterness of the team, I do think that Chiari should be in that midfield instead of Noble. And it, not directly related to Chiari, but it was just another needless error. It was an unforced error. And Chelsea this evening on the counter-attack, my God, they were just... I know Jason said the people to keep up with them, but bloody hell, they were quick. I mean, they broke forward in numbers and they were fast. And I mean, that is the perfect counter-attack to execute. The one-touch football between Pedro and Hazard was absolutely incredible. But it's a needless mistake. You know, like you said, we were 25 minutes in, we were on top of the game, and it could have swung both ways, but we were in control. And it's just an unforced error, and it's a stupid mistake, and unfortunately, it's cost us a stupid opening goal. But no, yeah.
I think there was 3 errors there. I think the first one was, which I never noticed at the time, but at half time when they did the analysis, they said, "Why is Reid and Fonte standing on the 18-yarder when it's quite clear they're ready to shoot?" That's one error. Second is Noble. That's the big one. I don't know what he's trying to do. Even if Snodgrass gets it, what she did, what Snodgrass meant to do is Snodgrass got his back to the goal, 40 yards out with someone, I don't know who it was, but someone's breathing down his neck. He had one touch to pass that ball, and it was either give it back to Noble or give it to Feghouli. That was his only 2 options. And then the third one, I think Obiang, this is a bit harsh, but the reason I'm picking this out is because of Leicester away last season. I remember the game. Someone was running through and Obiang had a chance to take him down and take a booking. He didn't do it, and he did it again tonight. Hazard was running and Obiang could have just clipped him. Take a booking. It's 40 yards out of goal. And when Obiang and Hazard gave it to Pedro, again, Obiang could have just clipped him again, just took him down, just take the yellow card, attack's over. But he just takes the gambles. And I think as a defensive midfielder, you need to be prepared to take a booking and be disciplined enough for the rest of the game not to get another yellow card. I think, and Obiang is good at that. He has got bookings before. He's never had a red card for West Ham, I don't think. So he knows how to do it. I'm a bit disappointed, but that for me is my only criticism of Obiang over the 90 minutes. But anyway, then there was a bit. We both had bits and pieces, but Chelsea at the end, near the end of the second half, almost made it 2-0. Good blocks from Creswell and Randolph. Lanzini shot over the bar, and he should have done better. And went in at 1-0 at half time. Then we didn't have to wait long until 2. Jason, is this the goal? Well, we can give a lot of credit to Chelsea for the first one, of course. The second one, there's not much credit to give. It's more a case of it's too easy a little bit. 2-0, too easy.
Yeah, we just kind of gifted them it. But I mean, it was a hell of a cross that was whipped in. It's just in that the corridor of uncertainty, I think they call it. Whereas if you've got to try and get something on the end of it, try and make something happen, just to try and take it away from him. But it's come off completely wrong from I believe it was Obiang that flicks it on actually. Yeah. So I mean, it's just another unfortunate individual error, and Chelsea capitalised. Costa, right place, right time. Thank you very much.
Do you agree with that, Tom? Just a little bit too simple. Obiang you think he felt he had to get something to it because he doesn't know what's behind him? So he's obviously got to try and get something to it. But is that where Carroll should be screaming at him? Because Carroll's right behind him. I think he's perfectly positioned, Andy Carroll, as always. Front post is always sort of Carroll's area for defending corners. I don't know why Obiang's there in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. I can echo what you said, but it's also, Winston Reid. He was marking Costa on the corner, and then he sort of just switched off really, and he's allowed Costa to just slip in behind him and run through for a little tap in. It's just a whole calamity of errors. It was badly set up from us at the corner, but it's another stupid mistake that we probably could have avoided. It's 2 goals this evening that we probably in hindsight could have avoided. Chelsea might have scored in other ways, but it's just another poor set piece defence from us. But I think for me, I don't know why Reid has fallen asleep in the position that he has. He has his arms out like this, almost like he knows that Costa is there, but he's looking round afterwards to see where he's gone. He's like, oh crap, he scored. And it's the fact that he has his arms out and he knows he's there, but he's not triggered and he's not switched on to react quick enough to be there or to just to mark him. It's simple stuff. But Chelsea go 2 up at that point, and what can you do?
The heads went down a little bit, but in the 60, I wrote down the 60th. I don't know if it's the 60th or 66th I wrote down, but we had a cluster of chances, Tom. Feghouli, Snodgrass in particular, and Moses blocking it on the line. That could have been a whole completely different game from then onwards. But are you disappointed that was sort of the only chances we got? I thought when that started happening, I thought, right, this is it. We've got a little bit of momentum without scoring. We need to capitalise on this, keep pushing. But it didn't seem to go.
Yeah, I mean, we said in our little group chat, and I've said it before. We've all said it. I think collectively we've said it before. We expect Bilic to be proactive at halftime in changing subs. I will get back to the Feghouli point in a second, but I think we could have created more. I think if we'd have maybe made that sub at halftime and got Feghouli on, we could have probably created more and looked to as you said, I know our heads dropped a little bit after the second goal, and we still had to wait another 5-10 minutes before the sub came on. And I think if we'd have maybe made those changes, or even Feghouli's chance had, gone in and scored, the whole complexion of the game would have changed. It's 2-1 with half an hour to go. And you saw that, again, that second half, Chelsea were allowing us onto us, and it only took one small little break like Lanzini's goal at the end for us to score. And it's, what can you say? I mean, it just wasn't really our luck wasn't really in this evening. And it was a great block on the line from Victor Moses, who suddenly turned into one of the best bloody defensive right wing backs in the league. And I mean, I'd love to know where that's come from, because I would have loved to have seen that last year at West Ham. It's bad when Martin Tyler is saying how well Victor Moses' defensive efforts have been instead of his attacking efforts on the night. And I mean, he was, again, fantastic, but he's been one of the best, probably most improved players in the league this season.
There is an irony that we had Moses last season, didn't really work at us, goes to Chelsea. We both play wing backs, and Moses is the wing back at Chelsea. There's a joke there somewhere. Jason, the rest of the game until the goal, it was a bit of, I don't know, just the final ball was lacking. Would you say that Carroll was far too isolated? Not just that period of game, but the whole game he was too isolated. It was just a little bit. It wasn't very fluid in the final third for me.
No, we just looked deflated, really, to be honest. Once that second goal came in, it's been like a running theme for us, really, especially in London derbies as well. I mean, that second we seem to go like 2 behind or 1 behind. Our heads just drop. Our body language just isn't there. I mean, and then it really could have been a whole lot worse, to be honest. I think even the final scoreline's a tiny bit flattering for us. I think Chelsea then sort of realised we weren't really at it, took themselves off the pace a little bit. And they didn't really have to work too hard near the end, to be honest. But it just wasn't our day. And Carroll way too isolated. We need Antonio's movement and work rate, how they sort of played off each other. And it sort of harks back to how we were earlier this season, where it was Simone Zaza in Carroll's position while he was injured. I mean, he had all the huff and puff in the world, but nothing was happening for him. He was just a cold, isolated figure amongst 2 defenders, 3 defenders, all to double up and take him completely out of the game.
Do you think, Tom, tonight's... well, let's talk about the goal finally. We did get a goal back. Carroll intercepted it. IU got it, ran at the defence, which is come back to a second, laid off to Lanzini. Fantastic finish, 8-12 for London derbies for Lanzini. But IU ran at the defence, Tom. Is that what we were lacking in the game, maybe? Just someone to sort of have the ball to sort of run at Chelsea? Or is it a case of Chelsea were just too good that we weren't really given the space to run into, were we?
No, we weren't. They closed down so quickly, like you said. They muscled Carroll with two guys most of the night, and they closed us down on the wings most of the night because I think Conte will have been fully aware that Carroll was probably going to be fit for this game, and he's probably been training all week to have two men out on the wing to always be closing down those crosses. And I thought they completely took Snodgrass out of the game. They took Feghouli out of the game, and they took Byram and Cresswell at times. I think Cresswell was probably the most potent, most dangerous from crosses all night long. But sometimes you need a player like Antonio, like Ayew, and I think we really did miss that tonight. Someone who will just put their head down and just run. And there was a few times that I think there was once where Noble dummied it. He went to cross and dummied it and pulled it back in, and he got to the byline and cut it back. That's something we usually see Antonio doing, and I think we missed, just like Jason said, someone who could run off of Carroll or even just cut inside and just run at that Chelsea defence, get them on the back foot. We did miss that tonight. And unfortunately, the one person who did do it was Ayew, but he came on too late, in my opinion, to change the game. He should have been on 15 minutes earlier, maybe even at half time. But, that's unfortunately Bilic's mistake. And, once again, he'll have to learn from it. But we sort of say these same things about Slaven and his, not reacted to make changes at half time or whenever. But no, I think Chelsea were fantastic defensively this evening, and they took most of our weapons out of the game that we had this evening.
I think Lanzini did try and run at them, but the problem was, I think Chelsea knew he is the guy that will run at us, and it was like whenever he got the ball, I think he was smothered. I think they did a job on Lanzini, nothing physical of that. They just got in his way, gave him no space, gave him no time, and that's where I think people need to step up and sort of try and play beside Lanzini to sort of detract the attention off him and free up the room. Do you know when someone runs across a defender and drags a defender and frees all that space? There was just none of that little clever sort of action in the final third. But Jason, are you happy enough with the sort of effort going in? I know you said we were a bit like Azaza, all huff and puff, but there just wasn't much creativity. I thought we worked hard enough, actually. I don't think I've seen a lot worse performances from us this season, put it like that. We certainly didn't lie down and get our arse spanked like we've done against the Manchester teams and Arsenal. But, I thought it was just, we've come up against who's going to be the champions of England.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it was just just a solid performance from Chelsea. Like you said, you came out with the game plan. Kante smothered Lanzini for the whole of the game. And when you're coming up against N'Golo Kante, you might as well have to be against two defensive midfielders at that point with how much ground that man covers. And it just goes to show the difference in class, to be honest. That if you ever needed to see a sort of making of what makes a mid-table team and what makes a title-winning team, you look at a game like this and you look at the results.
Is it just a harsh reminder, Tom, that we've got a long way to go to sort of... We've got a lot of quality to bring in, I suppose, to sort of compete with, not the elite, not compete with Chelsea, but just get a little bit closer to try and scrape for Europe, if you like.
Look, like Jason said, if you ever needed to see, the difference between us and a team like Chelsea is very evident this evening. They were absolutely top class. It is Chelsea. You don't like to say, well done, Chelsea. They're London rivals after all, but that is the difference between having a title-winning squad and having our squad, and we are a long way off of it at the minute as to where we need to be. And I mean, it just seeing the difference of the way that Chelsea play this season compared to last season. I mean, the audacity that Hazard had to do that touch off of his back. I mean, they're a team full of confidence right now, pulling off stuff like that. I mean, it's just, we were always going to have a tough game tonight, but, they have been on another level all season, and they've proved it once again tonight. So, I mean, that what can you do when you're going to come up a team against that who are absolutely steamrolling the league this season?
Well, what I will say, as well, I've just said I think we worked hard. What I am disappointed about, it's a London derby, and I say this quite a lot, but I'm disappointed about our lack of crunching challenges tonight. I didn't think there was enough of. Did we even have a booking tonight? I can't, off the top of my head, the only booking I remember is Fabregas, but if we've come out of that London derby again tonight with no booking, I'm not saying go around and kick people or say get a yellow card to please Mr. Nobody on a webcam show after the game, but I'd like to see a little bit more heart and passion. That, I know, Tom, you said that Hazard has the audacity, and I know you're more referring to the confidence he's playing with and Chelsea playing with, but sometimes I think that's maybe a reflection on just how laid back West Ham are a little bit, that he feels comfortable to do that. And no one's going to think. Remember when Watford came and played us at our place, Deeney said, hang on, these guys are taking the piss. You don't do this. Well, Hazard did that. And I would have liked to have seen someone go, hang on, he's taking the piss. I'm going to go through him next time he tries something like that. I'm going to take a booking. And we did that in the cup game. When we played them in the cup game, that's what we did. And that's how we beat them. We played with net and grit and we got in their faces. And I don't think we did that enough tonight. But it is what it is. Jason, is that a case of we accept that Chelsea are just better than us? Disappointed, yes, but Bournemouth next, Leicester after that, and that's the two games where we need to pick up points to sort of stay in that top half.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, well, Chico Kouyaté tried everything in his power to get booked, if I remember, in the first half. I mean, but the ref just kept letting it go. It's like, whatever. Yeah, you got to look at those next two games. And we're on 33 points at the moment. If we can get 6 points, ideal scenario, we're safe. 39 points. Don't need to worry. We can take a foot off the pedal and enjoy the summer holidays by the looks of things.
Jason, any players that came out for you with some sort of praise? I know we've not been overly critical of anyone tonight. I think we've hinted that we were a little bit disappointed with Feghouli with no ball, and for me, I thought Snodgrass was quite poor again tonight. But is there anyone that comes out with a pass mark, if you like?
I'd say Cresswell off the top of my head. He went down with a little bit of a nasty looking knock on his knee and then managed to dust himself off and go through the whole game. I think he was the only person that really stood out for me, bar perhaps Obiang just being usually solid. But other than that, no one else really covered themselves in glory.
Tom, same question.
If we want to highlight a few poor performances, I thought Fonte he wasn't very good this evening. I was quite shocked at how bad he was tonight, and I thought Snodgrass was poor, but I don't know how much of that was the fact that Chelsea was just so good at trapping him and marking him this evening and really just cut off all of his supply lines or what he could do. Obiang was fantastic again, but for me, the little diamond that is Lanzini, I know that we lost this evening, but he stepped up to the mark after Payet's left, and he tries. I felt like Andy Tate there. He tries. He was absolutely just. You can tell he just has that passion when he plays. He just enjoys playing football. He looks good when he plays, and he when the team's the heads drop, he's always that one there. He can just produce a moment of magic or that pass or something, and that finish at the end. And he's been brilliant. I know you're probably going to say him as well because he's your little gem as well, Gio. But yeah, he's in my, I guess, man of the match this evening for us, if you will. Overall, Hazard was probably he was on a different planet this evening.
Yeah, I think Carlo was a bit harsh that he didn't do anything wrong. It's just that he never got the opportunity to do anything good. But it's good to see him back. He played 90 minutes, and at the very end of the game, it was him that did the interception, and he showed that sort of, we're 2-0 down in 90 minutes. I'm not just going to sit here and accept that. I'm going to go win that ball and try and make something happen. And he sort of gave us a little bit of hope for the last 2 minutes of the game that something could come of it. And the other guy at the other end of the pitch, we already mentioned Obiang in the middle, but the guy at the other end of the pitch, Randolph, I thought he played well tonight. That save from Costa's turn was absolutely, I thought it was absolutely class. Gets a lot of criticism sometimes, and I think a few people might point at him for their second and say, but the ball's falling that low in the 6-yard box from a corner, the keeper should be on that. But with a flick off Obiang, but I think Randolph was fantastic again tonight. What we'll say about Snodgrass though is that I think this is what we have to expect from Snodgrass. 2 good games, 2 poor games, 2 good games, 2 poor games. Because we've bought him from Hull. I think we need to remember that this guy's in the sort of prime of his career, and he's been playing for Hull City for a reason, and that is that he is a 10th place Premier League team at best, maybe. And so I think while we can be critical of him, I think we need to be a bit realistic and remember that we've not signed someone that's going to take us to the next level in Snodgrass, unfortunately. Anyway, Gonzo was at the game tonight with Charlie and other people from Hams Chat. They've done a vlog. I don't think there was much in it because there wasn't that much that happened. But it was going on for our channel on Tuesday night, tomorrow night. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We'll be back on Wednesday or Thursday with a preview. We might have another special guest. We had Jack Collison on for the Chelsea preview. we might have another special guest for the Bournemouth preview. So keep your eyes out on our forum at hammerschat.com and our social media. But anyway, that's it. Jason, any last words you'd like to say on the game or that before we disappear?
Yeah, absolutely. The one silver lining I take from this is that Chelsea are still 10 points ahead of Tottenham in the league table. So Tottenham are no closer to winning the title. And that's my only positive from the game, really.
Tom?
Let's hope that Gonzo's got some footage from the game, because that's going to be a very boring vlog, mate, if you're sitting talking for 25 minutes during the game. No, good, great performance this evening from Chelsea, and unfortunately we were second best. But hey, move on to Bournemouth and let's try and pick up 3 points on the road.
Yeah, I think all I'm going to say is we're second best on the pitch. Unfortunately, I think our manager was the second best out of the two in the dugout, but we were playing the best team in the league. And as Jason said, for the second year in a row, we've stopped Spurs going a little bit closer to the title, although it's not a great thing for tonight. But thank you for joining us. Hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.